What's up, guys? Happy Thursday. NFL draft is tonight. Orioles are playing. I want to start with the NBA, though. Got both games right yesterday. Three good games. I think we're going to get three good games tonight as the Grizzlies got embarrassed twice to the Thunder. Now they're home for game three. I have a feeling that game's going to be pretty tight. I don't know if the Grizzlies will actually win, but I do like them to cover the 9.5. I can't imagine they're going to get humiliated three times in a row, especially this game being at home. So for that, I will take the Grizzlies. The first game, though, the Knicks Pistons, that I can't wait for that game. Pistons haven't had a home playoff game since 2008 when they played the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And that environment's gonna be great. It's gonna be very physical. I don't know what to make of it because I can't believe that the Knicks really lost game two. Probably stay away from it. Want to see what happens. And then the Clippers, I'm gonna ride with the Clippers tonight, -5.5. Game four is when I think you get a really good Nuggets game, and I think that game's gonna be tight. But I think tonight, excuse me, for game three, I think the Clippers are gonna roll them. The momentum for how they won game two, going back home, that environment is probably the best environment in the NBA, best arena by far. Can't wait to watch that game later tonight. So I'm gonna roll with the Clippers. Let's see. If you watched the games yesterday, the Rockets Warriors game was a throwback to the 90s. I mean, that was just a really physical game. Went pretty much how I thought it was going to go. The Rockets beat them up, made a few more shots. Jalen Green was really good last night. If Butler's hurt, then I'm definitely going to win that series. The Warriors can't win without Butler. I don't think they would have won last night anyway, but I think it's just going to be a bruise, and I think it'll be fine. But yeah, that was a really good game to watch. Very physical, entertaining, especially in the first half. And the Magic, they again kind of just they're there without Tatum. Celtics have a little bit less firepower, but enough to beat the Magic. Heat tried to make that interesting. That they were really close. Probably better for Cleveland that they're getting tested like this instead of just rolling the way the Thunder rolled. But yeah, Miami's down 2-0. That series goes back to Cleveland or goes back to Miami. Orioles, you know what's weird about the Orioles is I forget the game. It's after the game that you have positive things to say when we lose. It hasn't been that way for 2 years. Like there was never really. It's just weird. That's how you know the vibes are just way, way, way off. Things are way off. Yesterday's loss was emblematic of just things. Just even though you lose 4-3, there was just no fun from the very beginning. So like after the game, you can look at the box score and find positives, but it's easier to pitch if you're Sagano once you give up those 3 runs. I'm not just going to give him credit for the last 6 innings. I'm happy he pitched that way. But again, it's against the Nationals, number one, and you give it those 3 runs, makes it easier for their pitcher to pitch. Can't get the clutch hits, some bad luck at the end. Not even mad at Soto, really. That was really bad luck. Should have got the strikeout. Holiday should have been able to put a little more umph on that. Maybe Arias makes a better flip. They get the double play ball, and they just can't turn it. And we can't get the luck in the ninth to go our way. But it's like after the game to be like, man, I love the way we're playing baseball. It's like, what? We're 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Yeah, you love the way they're playing baseball if it's 2021, but not. I just. Yeah. Brandon Young's going to pitch on Friday. But I talked about the other day that the injuries make it impossible to fire Hyde. You just can't do it. I wanted to do it after the season last year, but you really can't do it. It sends the wrong message to a potential new hire. It's bad for business. You can't scapegoat the manager. That's how it's going to look when you have a bunch of injuries. So you're just going to have to ride through it and hope it gets a little bit better here. But I don't know. It's weird. As a Baltimore fan, as a I guess Orioles and Ravens fan, you go from all right, let's get excited about the draft, and then I don't mean to pile on because I really didn't say anything after the AFC divisional round with Mark Andrews because things happen. But how do you reflect on it 3 months later and then give a quote about your gloves? You can't do that. So now I'm in the camp of let's trade Mark Andrews here for a third-round pick because that was just I don't know that to me was I read I don't what are we doing? What are we doing? The gloves? Oh Lord! So now I'm reliving that, and when I look at the organization, I talked about this now for a couple months. The benefit of the doubt, because I want to enjoy the weekend and think about the Ravens and project and all that jazz, and I just have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they don't want everybody to know they're going to draft a kicker tomorrow or Saturday. So that's the reason why they didn't do the Tucker situation yet. But man, I really hope they make the right decision because if not, it's impossible for me to root for the Ravens. With that being said, analyzing the Ravens here and their roster and what I think they're going to do tonight, because tonight is, so much fun. I'm so glad they switched. I remember when they used to have the first, whatever, 3 or 4 rounds. I think it was 3 rounds on Saturday and start at noon and go all the way. And then they have, the rest of it on Sunday. Yeah, it was 1 through 3 and then 4 through 7 on Sunday. And it's just great. But now that they've done just the first round, it makes it even better because you get a chance to zone in on every single team, and then you get to restart going into tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. There's two bets that I love. The first one's the over 2.5 for the quarterbacks. So before I get to the Ravens, we'll start with that. There's two teams that will 100% draft a quarterback tonight. I'm very confident in that, and that would be the Steelers and the Saints. I really think the Steelers and the Saints have to draft a quarterback. Start with the Steelers. They're in the. I would be floored if they didn't draft a quarterback. Like they have absolutely no answer. They can't go with Mason Rudolph. They punted on everything. If Rodgers is going to be the guy, that's fine. They still have to draft a quarterback, whether it's Shador or Jackson. If they like somebody else, whatever. But I would be really shocked if the Steelers don't draft a quarterback. I don't think they have to move up to draft one. But yeah, I don't see how they come out of this draft, out of the first round without the quarterback. And I think the Saints have to draft a quarterback. Derek Carr, the injury came out earlier this week. I'm not sure the extent of it. It's kind of been a weird reporting situation, not a lot of clarity. Whether or not he's available for this year, the Saints have to get a quarterback. They can't. Their team is so screwed. They have no chance to win the Super Bowl like over the next 3 to 5 years with the way the roster is. They've been. I can't remember exactly how many years it's been since Brees has retired, but they just have not been competitive. They don't field a roster that gives them a chance to actually win at the highest level, and they keep running it back with mediocre talent year after year after year. Now they're ninth in the draft. It's the highest they've been, and I think they have to draft a quarterback. I don't know who they draft either, but they have to draft a quarterback. So I look at the Steelers and the Saints, and I'm like, each of these teams have to come out of here with a quarterback. So if you give me the first quarterback, right, Cam Ward goes to the Titans, and the bet's 2.5. I gotta get to 3. I got the Saints and the Steelers, and then my two fallback options. If I'm wrong about that, if one of them feels like, man, I can get my guy in the second round, the Browns and the Giants. Well, I don't think they draft the quarterback with the second pick or the third pick, even though it's a chance. I don't think it happens. More so, Cleveland. I'm 100% sure they're not drafting the quarterback second. I think they're comfortable going with Pickett and Flacco, and I think the Giants are comfortable going with Russ and Jameis. But I could see both of those teams going back into the first round at the end of the first round to get a quarterback. So I got 4 teams, and I need 2 of them to draft a quarterback because I know Ward's going 1 to the Titans. And I still have the fallback option of whether it's the Cowboys, if they wanted to do something to have the insurance there with Dak, even though that's a long shot. The Dolphins could be a long shot if they're not comfortable with Tua's future. The Niners, if they wanted to hedge against Purdy. The Seahawks, if they need a hedge against Darnold. We saw what the Falcons drafted Penix last year. I just feel like 2.5, almost too good to be true. So I'll roll with that bet over 2.5. And then the other one I like was, where was he slotted? Tyler Warren, 9.5. The Jets and the Panthers. I think the Jets are 7, the Panthers are 8. Saints are at 9. I could see the Saints even taking them if they didn't take their quarterback right there. So I think Tyler Warren is fantastic. The tight end from Penn State, he's going to check every single box that you want as a prospect. It feels like because Brock Bowers was so good last year, we now have the freedom, if you're a GM, to draft the tight end early. We see how dominant tight ends have been. So I like that. And I also like Jalen Walker, the linebacker from Georgia. I'm not sure exactly what number he was slotted. I think I saw it at 11.5, so I'll double check that. But he's a coach's son and graded out perfectly with every interview. He's an edge rusher from Georgia. Numbers aren't as great as you'd like him to be, but I think he would be Um, excuse me, he'll go higher than expected. All right, Ravens, where are we at? What do the Ravens need to do? What should they do? They pick at 27. The ideal pick is Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia. That's what I would prefer. Darius Washington re-signed with the Ravens for 1 year. Most likely, if he's really good, he's going to price himself out of Baltimore the following year. He's on a restricted deal. They still have Kyle Hamilton. They have to pay Kyle Hamilton, obviously. Malachi Starks gives you the flexibility to move Hamilton around, and it's a passing league. You can't have too many weapons. I think he was way better than he was way better in 2023 than he was in 2024. Georgia's defense was way better. The vibes were way better. Took a few more chances, and the film wasn't as great in 2024. I think he's a perfect Raven. Other people have said that he would fit in great. I think he is the number one choice. If he's not there, and I don't necessarily hate the idea of trading up to get him. I don't know how far you have to go to get him, but that wouldn't be the worst thing. They have 11 draft picks. So the second choice is the defensive line. Travis Jones and Broderick Washington and Matabike. That's fine if that's your starting guys, but they need some guys here in the rotation, and they probably need some guys that might eventually be better than any of those other two, right? Matabike is an all-star Pro Bowler, but Jones, we'll see with Pierce being gone if he can handle the load. He was really good last year. I like him. He's going to have to get paid though. We'll see how long he's a Raven. And Washington, underrated, solid, nice rotation piece. I don't know if he's your first choice for a starter. So there's plenty of guys to draft on the defensive line, whether it's a nose tackle or a defensive end. If they want to get a pass rusher, it's not going to, you can't have too many pass rushers, but they're pretty solid. In the pass rusher front, losing Malik Harrison is not great. They're expecting Trenton Simpson to play way better. I thought he was going to have a better year than he ended up having. I'd be surprised if they went inside linebacker. There's that position's really died down anyway, and Roquan is highly paid, so they probably won't invest there. Corner, there's a couple corners they can grab. I wouldn't be necessarily upset if they grab corner, but if they're not going to grab Malachi Starks and they're not going to get a big defensive lineman, then let's draft a left guard or a do-it-all offensive lineman that can be a backup in all positions because they lose Makari. They can start Voorhees if they want. That's not the worst thing in the world, but they should draft at least 3 offensive linemen by the time the draft's finished to replenish the depth. Stanley is older, injury prone, so they definitely need to address the offensive line. It would be, I think the only thing that's going to make me annoyed is if they went running back receiver, because you can talk yourself into this draft, because there's going to be guys available. We're not in the position right now to double down on skill players. It's just not the position. Even if you're going to trade Mark Andrews going up to get a tight end, they need to beef up the offensive line, the defensive line, and they need to add somebody to make sure that we can guard Cincinnati's weapons, Buffalo's weapons, and Kansas City's weapons. As much as you can analyze the receivers and running backs and talk yourself into it, that would be a disappointment to me. So looking forward to the draft. Yeah, I don't have too many other hot takes. I don't love any of the quarterbacks really. I don't think Cam Ward's necessarily changing the NFL. It's just a little careless with the ball. We'll see how that works with Tennessee's new regime that they couldn't fix Will Levis. And I don't, the Shador situation, it's kind of a wait and see for me. Just a lot going on there. I don't think I'd give him the keys to my franchise. Jackson Dart, when you cry on the sidelines the way he did against Florida, it's a lot of weird vibes for me. I don't know if that's my quarterback for the future. I kind of just like Will Howard. I don't know why sometimes it gets a little bit more complicated, but last time I watched college football, he was the best quarterback I saw for the past month. So I'd be happy getting him if I was one of these teams that, had an older quarterback or just wanted to bring somebody in to compete. I don't know if I'd trade up for Dart or Shador. So that's my take. I'll be here in the morning. Happy to talk about it. Hopefully the Orioles get things together. One positive on the Orioles before we go. One positive that I think is worth noting. You ask for consistency in the lineup. There's been some consistency over the past few days. Be interesting to see what he trots out today. But yeah, I think that if you want to look for a positive with the Orioles, they're still easy to root for, right? Like, so if you're watching the games, you're frustrated with the vibes and how they're playing and all that jazz. They're still an easy team to root for. The players, they're young, they're trying probably just way too hard. So the only solution we have to everything is to get to that 500 spot by the All Star break, so we can get some juice going. Like, piling on every day is not fun. It's been a hard watch, but maybe this is rock bottom here. Losing those first two games to Washington is just embarrassing after that huge Easter loss. And yeah, like I said, you can't just fire Hyde when everybody's injured. You could have done that a month ago or 3 months ago, 4 months ago, whenever the season ended. It feels like they play baseball all year round. But at this point, got to ride it out. And I'm happy you put Kerstead and Holiday in the lineup yesterday. So, all right. Anyway, enjoy the games. I'll put out my bets for everything. If you're watching the NBA, the Knicks Pistons is, I'm telling you, that'll be amazing to watch. And then if you don't know what's going on at the stadium, the new arena in LA, the Clippers and the Nuggets game tonight, their arena is ridiculous. It's on my list. There's only like a few places left that I really want to go see, as it's much better just watching games on TV. But that's one of those spots, the Intuit Dome. So anyway, all right, have a good day, guys. I'll see you in the morning. All right, see ya.